Joining us right now, the Democrat of the day is running for the DFL in 43A. Dan Solon is joining us, kind enough to talk to us today about his campaign. Dan, thank you very much. I appreciate the time on short notice.
Matt, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
My pleasure. And first of all, with Democrat of the day, explain exactly who is Dan Solon.
Well, I'm a Navy veteran and stay-at-home father. I grew up in Duluth, and I joined the Navy right out of high school. My wife and I met in the Navy. We actually have a combined 17 years of service together. And we both got out of the Navy off of active duty and settled here in Rogers, Minnesota. So the last couple of years, I've been just raising my two sons.
Well, and as a guy that does a lot of the raising of my three kids, that's a very honorable thing, but not nearly as honorable. Thank you very much to you and your wife for your service. That is a fantastic story. And by the way, I was Army. I was U.S. Army. There's a lot of couples out there that have your same story. They went to serve, they met, they fell in love, and now they're out and they're making a life for themselves. So good for you.
Thank you. We're very proud to serve, and I'm just really thankful that she got stationed on the same ship that I did.
It does make relationships work a little bit better, doesn't it? Why did you all of a sudden, Dan, decide to, you know what, enough's enough, I'm running for 43A?
Well, 34A.
Oh, excuse me, 34A, yeah. My bad.
I think I'm like a lot of people, and I was just reading a lot of articles around the turn of the year about people who are getting into politics for the first time. And that's when I went to my state Senate convention, and we didn't have anyone running up against Joyce Pepin. And in that moment, it really felt like the same kind of call that, brought me into joining the military. I wanted to step up and do something difficult, but something that was going to be good for me and was going to help my community and my country. So I took the plunge.
This is a little bit of a surprise for me to hear that no one had decided to run against Joyce Pepin under some of the arguments that I put out before. That this is what we're seeing is a shift here. Once again, this is a seat that under Trump was a 50-40. Narrow. That was the difference for Trump in that election. Klobuchar did win it by 16 in 34A, and so I guess the question is, if no one, why do you feel as if people were just scared of Pepin, because this seems like a very winnable seat?
I feel the same way, and all the things that you brought up, they kind of gave me that same feeling that this is definitely a winnable situation. She's an incumbent in a leadership position, but still something that I felt was achievable. So I just think there was a perception maybe in the district that it was more challenging than it really is, but I think it's winnable. And with the news this week, I think our chances have improved even more.
Oh, I think your chances improved greatly. But I also will say this: I think Joyce Pepin saw the writing on the wall. I think she herself, as I mentioned, she doesn't want to lose the seat, nor does she want to serve in the minority, which is looking like the Republicans are going to have a heck of a time holding on to the Minnesota House at this point. So her going out at this point, that's kind of the Republican mode. That's what they kind of do. So I mean, this is a seat though that it is Maple Grove, Rogers. It's Northwest Metro, right?
Maple Grove, Rogers, Dayton. Yeah, absolutely. Northwest Metro. A great place to live. I love the community, and it's
Well, and it's a growing part of the metro area as well. Talk about some of the issues you would like to directly address for that district.
Well, my main issue is bringing an end to all or nothing politics. I think that is the thing that's scaring away most of these establishment candidates is they're feeling like their time is up. There's new blood coming in, and I don't think voters are going to be accepting the same old. Things like healthcare. There's no reason why we haven't been able to make any progress in reducing costs, reducing premiums. So I really want to reach across the aisle. I want to talk with people. I want to compromise. I want to do the things that politicians normally don't do.
The question I'll have for you is that the operational standard, and this is what we've seen the last few legislative cycles here in Minnesota, is that the problem, a lot of the problem has been these last second bills, that one party holds the bills until the very last second and then throws them at the other party saying, vote now, and off you go. Talk about that element. I mean, it shouldn't every bill that gets a vote on the floor have at least, say, a 36-hour period where not only the politicians can review it, but the public can as well?
Absolutely. Just looking at this most recent legislative session, the 990-page beast that they were trying to pass within hours of putting it out. There's no way that anyone could read that, and it's full of favors, and it's full of the kinds of things that people don't want to put out on paper and have people read ahead of time before they get to vote.
It's lots of pork on in there. I think that is part of the problem. And we had Eric Paulson do town hall meetings yesterday. One of the things that I reminded people is that he's been promising a health care replacement alternative to Obamacare since 2010. That's not working with the other side of the aisle. That's not putting forward leadership. That's not doing anything. That's basically saying, one day we'll get to it, when basically the reality is there doesn't seem to be any intention by the Republicans, especially on the national level, to actually fix the healthcare system. And that's we have to have a working healthcare system that's available and accessible for all.
Absolutely. I completely agree. It's words, I think, coming from Paulson. He doesn't really intend on following through.
Transportation is another major issue. You are a district it is truly a district which both sides of the coin need to be. I can tell you, as a person that used to work at Metro Traffic for many years, that the Fish Lake interchange heading up to 101, heading out towards St. Cloud, heading out to Monticello and stuff like that. I mean, it's that there is definite needs for the expansion 94, the other expansion 610, the other roads that have to be there, but you also have to balance that with mass transportation, because you are getting a lot of people that move into this area. Whereas Maple Grove for many years has been a bedroom community for the metro area, and having accessible and good mass transit is another issue there. The Republicans this last time around didn't put 1 cent in this budget for transportation. Not 1 cent. I have to imagine, as a person on the ground there, that especially as with a family, we got one person working, one person at home, mass transportation is something that has to be addressed up in this district.
Absolutely. I thankfully, being a stay-at-home father, I don't have to do a lot of transiting, but when I do, it's definitely a hassle. Mass transportation definitely needs more focus. I mean, just all around transportation needs investment, but I think more people are trying to use mass transportation as a method to just be more green in their lifestyle all around, and I think that's important that we provide those opportunities for them.
Talk a little bit as well about as your district it changes. I mean, there still is a lot of agriculture in your district, but what we're seeing is still growth. And the nice thing is Minneapolis-St. Paul as a metro area is continuing to grow as opposed to some cities in this country. How do you look at the development of the city doing it the right way to where all income brackets are being addressed as it comes to housing and the community services that are needed?
Well, that is a really difficult topic, just because when it comes to new construction, businesses, they're going to build what is profitable for them. And right now, those starter homes are upwards of the $200,000 range. So it's just going to take creative ideas and people who are really dedicated to finding solutions to find affordable housing as we grow and more people come into the metro. I don't have all the answers, but I think we need to absolutely address that issue.
Well, and it certainly can't just be, McMansion, and, the people, the working class and the middle class, they'll find some place to live. I mean, you have to have that common sense approach, and it sounds like that's what you're shooting for.
Absolutely.
All right. This is I'm very glad you're running here because there in the past, and this may to a point this shows me that the DFL is taking this election seriously. In the past, I think races like Pepin's were ignored. For you to step up here, I think is an absolute tribute to you. I'm going to get, as an Army guy, I can say this. I think your military background. I think you're seeing a problem and you're trying to fix it, and I think that's 100% military, and I think that's fantastic. And I'm very glad you are because once again, 34A is very much in play right now in the metro area. I mean, as that goes, I mean, talk about that with your campaign. I mean, imagine talk to your campaign manager saying, this was a winnable seat with Joyce Pepin before, but now does the Republican Party even have a candidate against you at this point?
I think they've had a couple people file. We don't know who their candidate is going to be, but I think we had the mentality that this is winnable in the first place. And with this news, it feels that much more attainable. Whoever's coming in, I don't think that they're going to have the same appeal. They're just not going to be able to reach voters the same way I am. I feel pretty confident that I'm not bringing in any baggage. I don't owe anyone any favors. I'm in this for the right reasons. I've served my country selflessly for my entire adult life, and I want to continue to do so. I think that'll really resonate.
Oh, I want to see one of these Republicans take you on and start trying to criticize your military service. Oh, you let me, Dan. I was Army, you're Navy. Between the branches, we kind of make fun of each other a little bit. Right. But needless to say, if anyone dogs you about your military service, you let me know because I've got your back 100 days from Sunday for sure.
All right.
Thank you. All right. I want to drive everyone. Listen to me. We need to win. 34A is very winnable. It was very winnable before Joyce Pepin left this race. It is now incredibly winnable with Dan running there and Joyce Pepin now gone. Solon for house.com, correct?
Yes, Solon for House.
Solon for House, SOLONFORHOUSE.com. I'll link to everything a little bit later on. Donations are needed. Volunteers are needed. I imagine you're going to be, your district is a relatively big one, especially a lot of different cities in there. You're going to need a lot of people to come door knocking up there, correct?
A lot of square footage, absolutely.
All righty.
We need as many people as we can to get out and speak to as many voters and have as many conversations as possible.
So it's just up the highway here. It's the Fish Lake interchange up that way towards Rogers. Get up there. Give Dan a hand up in this district. 34A. 34A is a very winnable seat. Donations, once again, solonforhouse.com, SOLONFORHOUSE.com. I'll link to this all later on. We'll spotlight this interview as well. Dan, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time today. I know this was short notice, so thank you very much for that. And anytime you want to come back, you let me know. I'm going to make time for you, okay?
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Dan Solon, once again, 34A, Democrat of the day. Joyce Pepin has gone bye-bye. We'll talk a little bit about that when we do return. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. And by the way, maybe I'll just take a quick point out at the Democrats here about don't leave any race unchallenged right now. Don't leave any race unchallenged. They can't compete everywhere. They can't. It's the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.